Welcome to the Anchored in Property podcast, where we are on the water talking to Tom and Kate about building a $3.3 million investment property portfolio in under 3 years. We're going to discuss how Kate and Tom were able to build a portfolio while starting a family, navigating rising interest rates while still trying to pay off a family home, and build a multi-million-dollar property portfolio in the background. We will take a look at their triumphs, the failures, and how they were able to manage their time to build a staggering net worth of over $3 million. So tune into today's episode. Let's get started. All right, Tom and Kate, welcome to the Anchored in Property podcast. It's great to have both of you here on the very first episode of Anchored in Property. So welcome.
Welcome, Daniel. Didn't know it was the first one.
Yeah, the first one. So we'll be uncovering your story, your journey. You've been working with us for a bit under 3 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to uncover your story, how you were able to build a multi-million-dollar property portfolio and get to the stage of life that you guys are currently in. We'll uncover a little bit of your personal journey as well. So let's find out a little bit about both of you first. Whereabouts are you from? Where do you live?
Well, I'm from a little beachside town in Newcastle called Stocken, and I've been there my whole life, probably fifth generation. And about you, Kate? You're...
originally from Orange, and when I met Tom, moved to Stockton. So we've kind of got the family home there and just had bubs. So yeah, we're very settled in Stockton.
Yes, we were just talking about that off air. Congratulations, little baby girl. Only a month's difference to my little baby girl as well. Yeah. So going through the same stages, and it's good. And I want to uncover that because you actually were investing right when all of this was happening, and you were still wanting to buy a property, which most people would think property in itself is stressful. So it's crazy to see that. I was thinking, no, maybe you should just wait a little bit, but you were adamant you wanted one more.
Yeah.
So we're going to uncover that. So before we get into that side of things, what do you both do for work?
I was a carpenter, but now I do civil construction.
Yep.
And I work in HR, so I've worked in a few different industries, but predominantly in the mining industry.
Nice. And in terms of like investing, when did you start investing? When was like the first, like, you know what, we need to start doing something about our property investing and start that journey?
Well, we first bought a block of land, which was a bit of an we were driving past it and saw a for sale sign by owner, and we thought, this is not a bad spot, like coastal kind of town, and we kind of got it, but we didn't really know what we were doing, so then we got the professionals in.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was kind of during COVID that happened. We were very excited about that, and then we started to learn a little bit more and get interested in investing. And I think coming out of that, I guess, COVID period just made us realize that we needed to get serious.
Yeah. In terms of like the first property that you were looking at, obviously through COVID, you know, what was it like trying to do that sort of stuff on your own?
Yeah, well, I remember COVID, you could only go and meet the real estate agent like one-on-one. So Kate sent me, and I took my motorbike because it was a good ride and you couldn't really do anything back then.
Yeah.
I remember meeting the real estate under a tree, and she trusted me, and I once bought a camper trailer to go around Australia, and it was the worst thing I ever bought. So she was a bit skeptical on that, and it ended up being all right, but we haven't done anything with it. It's still a block.
Yeah. And what made you then think, okay, well, I've that first purchase, you know, it all has sort of happened and it's done okay. Like, it's not like anything went wrong. What made you think, okay, it's time to get experts in and start your journey of, you know, getting serious about investing and pushing the boundaries of just having, like, most people really only have one investment property. You know, they get to one, even if it's successful, they don't even like go beyond one.
Yeah.
What made you think it's time to get more serious with this? We want to scale a portfolio.
Well, I was always looking like on Instagram and always loved property, and I kind of bought my first one when I was 23, and then 10 years later I didn't really do anything. I just had that, paid it off a little bit, and I come across you and a few other people, and then I'd watch some podcasts, and I thought, this sounds pretty good, we should give it a go.
And I think learning, I guess, a few different things through COVID, including the first house that I had before I met Tom, and we'd sold that. realizing that there were certain areas that really did grow within that period.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was those conversations like, I wish we hang on to that. And, you know, we could have sold it now and made a lot of money. And that's where we started to, I think, again, spending more time at home during COVID, just those conversations, like what do the next 10 years look like and what should we focus on?
Did you often have conversations around building wealth and money in the early days? Was it something that you guys actively always talked about?
Yes, but not in a serious sense. It was more like when we travelled around Australia, most of the friends that we made were retired. So we were hanging out a lot with 60-year-olds and all of them had businesses, but they also had investment properties. It was kind of, you know, we were always chatting about, oh, we want to be like them. We want to, you know, make sure that we're not working forever. So that's kind of where it started, but it was a bit more dreamy conversations versus actual reality.
I guess, you know, looking at that, seeing older people, because it's funny because I was pretty similar in terms of a lot of people around me back when I started was always like older people that had already sort of done it and gotten out. Did that give you that sort of like, it's possible I can see how these guys have done it, and if I don't do something about it, then I won't be able to ever get in their position?
100%. Like I was seeing people, like our mates we met around Australia that weren't that old really, and they would just drop everything and go up to the Kimberley for 3 or 4 months at a time. And I'm like, I'd love to do that.
Yep.
I don't want to get to that stage and be like, oh no, I've got to hand a holiday form in and the supervisor's going, nah, sorry mate.
Yeah, you can't go.
Yeah.
And it's a hard balance, I think, as well when you're early days, because you want to be able to be free, but at the same time, you got to go through hard yards before you become free. How was that mentally, knowing that you're going, hey, I got to go into debt. I'm going to have to almost go into the trenches before I can see the outcome. And yet, you know, many people just decide to throw it all in, go around Australia, get the caravan out, get the boat out. Or, you know, they seem to go, you know what, instead of doing the hard yards, YOLO life, you know, live it up. I've seen a lot of people at COVID do this, and they, you know, sold their house, sold everything, disappeared, spent all their money for a year or two, come back, and next minute now they got to work forever. Did you guys have to go through that sort of side of things of like, do I give it all up and do that? Or do I push into the trenches now, get myself into a whole heap of debt and make it work?
That's exactly it, because when we went around Australia, we both said, there's no way we're selling what was my house at that time, and then obviously now it's both ours. And I was like, there's no way I'm coming back and trying to buy another house, or because I love where I live and I didn't want to go buy another one, so we just rented it out to a couple of mates, and when we come back, we still had it, and I think it went up again by then. So
yeah,
I was glad we didn't sell it.
And we could just see that people were starting to sell their houses, and it's just when Instagram kind of started picking up in terms of everyone showing their journeys. We went around in a really old car. We decided not to buy anything new because we thought this is supposed to be like the big adventure, but we didn't want to lose everything. And at that point in time, right before we left, I was made redundant from my employer, and that was, the timing was right for us to go traveling. We didn't want to lose that nest egg, essentially. We wanted to make sure that we came back and we were smart about it. We didn't know what the plan was, but we wanted to have something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to, I think, very similar mindset to me. It's like if you were to do that sort of side of it and come back to nothing, I would almost be more stressed going on the holiday and doing that year break, knowing that I was coming back to nothing and knowing that what do I do from here? I've almost got to start from ground zero again. So anyway, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the journey. Obviously, at this stage, you've obviously purchased one of your properties on your own, first investment property. You ended up going and obviously contacting us.
Yeah.
We then decided, hey, we're going to go interstate and purchase something completely out of your own backyard. How was it? This was in 2022, so November 2022 is when you first came in to purchase your first property. What was it like when I said to you, we will not be going anywhere near where you live, and probably where you don't even know where this location is? How did you cope with that, giving over the reins to someone like me and my team to be able to help you out interstate?
There's a lot of discussion around it.
Yeah. I didn't know much about YPYW or anything, but I've always liked Brisbane and loved Queensland, so I had that in my head. And I had a cousin's husband that used a YPYW a couple of times, and he said they were great, but they did good results and they worked well for them. So it made me think a bit better, like I was a bit more at ease.
Yeah. And looking back, it was the most nervous, I guess, we were going into anything, because I guess it was just starting out. We did know that Brisbane itself was good. You know, it's a good business centre, it's a hub, but at the same time, it was a different state. We couldn't travel, we couldn't actually physically see, so we're still quite emotional about investing, looking at it and going, we can't see it, we're relying on people to do it for us, we hope it's okay, we don't know how it's going to go. So at the start, we were a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I could imagine, because I mean, you had a couple of things going almost against you at that point, which is we've had COVID at that point. We are at the point where it was hard to sort of move around as well, and we're just getting out of all that sort of side of things. Interest rates were starting to pump up as well. So yep. I think it was March 2022, they were at like 10 basis points and everything had just dropped down to the lowest. And I think that was like the biggest fear mongering around, you know, all the big drops of property. So there's a lot of stories coming out about, you know, you shouldn't be investing, that there's going to be mass, you know, mortgagee sales, all that sort of side of things. And then it kind of went the other way around, and then interest rates started rising. I think if I looked at the timeline, it was 10 basis points, the interest rates, when in March. You invested in November and they were 2.85% from an RBA level at that point. How did you get through that mental barrier of investing while interest rates were going up?
Well, I think in my head, I just thought I had to do something, and I didn't really worry with our up or down, because I think they're going to fluctuate no matter what. So I was like, I just want to do something, and when's the right time to start is when you can.
Yeah, it took us a little while to kind of get mentally to that point, but we had to take the advice we were paying for, and you know, that was part of the investment, our education. And yeah, it did feel like a bit of a gamble, but it got to a point where we really needed to make that decision. And I think we went down to, let's just roll with it. What's the worst thing that could happen? Like, well, let's deal with whatever comes. If we make a poor investment, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to look at it. Look long term and sort of say, hey, and I think a lot of the time, like, you know, people, if you are investing, you're investing for the short term, that's when it starts to shake you. So like, if you're thinking about it like, well, I'm not going to sell an investment property after 12 months. So it was just kind of like more so, okay, well, if I'm investing for long term, this is just a part of it, like you were sort of saying, Tom.
Yep.
How did you deal with it though, from a, I guess, physical point of view, not just a mental point of view, in terms of, okay, it's actually going to cost me more to be able to hold the exact same property as interest rates rise? And were you worried, because there's a lot of people at that point were saying like interest rates, you know, back in our day were 16%, 18%. I'm sure a lot of family or friends would have said, hey, this could get a lot worse. Interest rates could go so high that you won't be able to even afford your own home. And that, did you have that sort of pushback from friends or family?
Definitely.
Yeah, probably a few.
Yeah. A lot of the family were probably more nervous than the friends. And that was, I guess, some of the conversations that we had. But again, we were talking, like, obviously we love our friends and family, but also talking to people that hadn't invested.
Yeah.
Or they might have a rental property in the same suburb, essentially.
Yeah.
So we again kept, I guess, to reassure ourselves, started going back to, you know, our information, our resources, Instagram, to others that were in the position we wanted to be in. And we kept kind of taking their advice versus our friends and family. And that just gave us a level of comfort that hopefully things would just work out.
Yes. And I think that's probably the best advice you can give to somebody is be careful who you listen to, because your results will be determined by what they instill in you. Like, I see people that will be like, I want to invest, the next minute a family member is like talked them out of it, and then 2 or 3 years goes by and I'm like, that property that you said no to is up $400,000. You know, it's I get like a lot of friends and family will talk around mainly out of fear, like they don't understand. And like you said, they haven't gotten to what you want, but they're trying to tell you how to stop, they're trying to say to you how to play it safe, essentially, is what they're doing. It's like, play it safe, be very careful. And they're coming out of a place of love, but they're coming out of a place of like, don't mess it up. But at the same time, it's like they haven't done what I'm trying to achieve, trying to block them out, because financially, little conversations like that can destroy people's wealth by millions of dollars. Because, if you hear that every couple of years, it becomes a part of you to be always afraid and always be like, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. Just play it safe. Just pay my mortgage off. Just live an average life. That's what my friends do. That's what my family does. I think it's good to see that you recognize that, hey, I need to get outside of that and maybe start listening to, podcasts and get a little bit of information, do your own background checking and saying, are they where I want to be or are they not? And am I going in the right direction or am I not? But it would have been pretty nerve-wracking. I mean, I know I was shooting from the rooftops at that point, that massive boom was coming. And a lot of people were like calling me crazy and like, saying like it's not going to happen and it's going to go the other way. And I'm glad that you guys obviously had listened to me. So, yeah.
If you're already on your property investing journey or you are considering it, then YPYW specializes in building high-performance property portfolios backed by in-house research. We've helped clients create portfolios worth over $10 million, helping you exit the rat race. So just visit ypyw.com.au.
In terms of like the first property, let's talk about the first property. So November 2022, we purchased our first property. Whereabouts did we purchase that property? What did we pay for it?
It was in Thornlands in Queensland, and it was $730, but I think we got free. We got it for $727 because of a couple of roof tiles that needed repairing and whatnot. So $727.
Nice. And did you go to Brisbane because you thought Brisbane, or did you just say, you know what, we'll trust YPW, what they're doing and where they're going?
Yep, that's exactly what we did.
And again, we were probably a little nervous at the same time, but then we reminded ourselves we're paying for your expertise. So why don't we just follow the lead and see what happens?
That's it. And how was the process in terms of like buying a property? You didn't see the property, so you had to rely on us to do physical walkthroughs and Peston buildings and all our connections, everything like that. How was that process? Did it put you at ease when you looked through the property and everything was sort of broken down for you? How did it all come about for you?
Oh, that was easy as.
Yeah.
I was like, this kind of seems too easy. Like, is this legit?
That's good. That's what we want. We want it to be as easy as possible. And I think as well, like as you've now purchased multiple properties, it probably even got even easier for you.
Yeah, did it.
Because it's kind of like, well, we've seen results. This is just a no-brainer. We just have to wait for the right one to come up, and then we just jump on it and go again.
Yeah, obviously, like different states have like different legislation, and you're like, oh, this is a bit different, but at the end of the day, it's the same.
Yep.
Same
step-by-step guide. And
at what point did you want to buy another one after you bought the first one?
When the first valuation came through, and I think it was only a few months, and I think it's about $70,000 profit. And at that point, I think that was that. How easy was that?
It's the easiest 70,000.
I don't
The
think
nerves went away.
Yeah.
Long.
It was a very short period of time, and I think that was kind of the realization that it worked. And the few months going after that, just realizing, we weren't living on bread and water. Like it was surviving. It actually worked, and
we changed our lifestyle.
No, and we got comfortable. So I guess the discussion started again.
And it's kind of weird because when it's interstate, you don't see it, so it's almost less stressful.
Yeah.
Like I find that with my stuff. Like if it's like near me, I'm like, it's more stressing me out. Whereas if it's something that I can't go see and go look past, something like that, I just see the numbers and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. And that's sort of it really. But in terms of that property, so I'll go through because we actually did a bank val on it as well just before we've done this podcast. But that property, we paid $730 for it. Obviously a couple of grand in price reduction. Yep. 2 years, 8 months from the bank val. So 2 years and 8 months, just under 3 years. The bank foul of CBA, Westpac, there was a few different, we kind of averaged it out across 4 or 5 different ones, came in at 987,000, which I think is probably already up more because that market's still going. But the equity is $257,000, so 35.2% in 2 years and 8 months, averaging about 12% per annum at the moment, which is about $8,000 per month or $2,000 a week. So essentially, you've got a property that's been going up for 2 years and 8 months, constantly $2,000 a week. What's it like when you break the numbers down and you start to see that this thing is, producing $2,000 a week? What does it make you think at that point about investing, and where, like, should you just go, that's it, I just want to go all in after that? Like, at what point do you go, this is working for me, and I can see sort of the light on what I need to do going forward?
Yeah, when you see the results like that, you just think you may as well keep going as much as you can, and as long as the banks let you.
Yeah, that's it. That's the big one. Get around the banks.
We'd rather buy a new house than a new car at the moment. So
yeah,
not a new house, but a established house.
Yep.
And we kind of see it like an additional income. We'd spoken a couple of times, should we try and do a business on the side? And we're like, why don't we just treat this like our business?
That's the best
Why
way.
don't we just do that, because it's actually very minimal effort. Like, we hold the risk.
Yeah.
But you guys do all the work, so.
And I think it's a good way to think about it too, because when it's a business and the way you think about it as a business, you're like, there's no emotion to a business, right? So you just know it's a numbers-based game. Am I making, especially when interest rates are going up, am I making more money than I lose? Yes. Okay, cool. The business is working. And then interest rates go down. Great. My cash flow gets better, and over time my rents get better. So you can think about it more logically rather than emotionally. Which is good in terms of, I guess, owning property now. And now you've got multiple properties.
Mm-hmm.
How stressful is it owning properties?
Not really stressful at all, I don't think, so far.
Do you feel like you have to work for that $2,000 per week?
Yeah, an email every now and again.
Yeah.
Maybe not even a phone call, I don't think. Although when the cyclone was in Brisbane, I was looking at the map and it looked like it was going to go straight through it. So I
saw that.
I was like, oh no.
Oh dear.
Now we're saying it was going to hit towards there. I'm like, usually it's way more north than that.
That was probably the only stress, but
Yeah. You're like, well, better make sure the insurance is in place.
I did look that up.
Yeah.
So from there, you ended up purchasing your second property only 6 months later. So you went pretty much back to back 2023. We ended up going a different state altogether. Was it your plan to go back to back? And when I suggested WA, what was your thoughts on that?
Well, I've got a soft spot because WA is my favourite state in Australia, so
That's good.
I was stoked. Even though I didn't know much about the property there.
I was probably the opposite, just because I've been working in the mining industry and there's been different, I guess, cycles there. I didn't know how that impacted real estate. But again, it was more lack of knowledge than anything else. And I guess in terms of back-to-back, I think we went in with no intention of buying another one, at least not that quickly. We
didn't know it was 6 months.
We thought it would be an option, but I think at least I was kind of being quite reserved at that point, going, oh, we just did something scary, we don't need to do it again. But we very quickly changed our minds.
Yeah. WA is one of those ones where, especially back then, no one had invested for so long. It had, a 14-year run of really no growth or negative growth. So, trying to convince people that was coming to an end and that there was going to be some really great growth ahead was quite hard, especially because a lot of my clients had purchased Brisbane, so they'd seen some great results. I'm like, why don't I just go safe again? Why don't I just keep doing what I'm doing? And I'm like, I get that, but there's an opportunity that's going to just rocket here, and we need to sort of, if we can, we could diversify you out and get you into something into WA. So yeah, 6 months it was, 6 months. Yeah. In terms of the finance and that sort of side of things, so you've back to back in 6 months. How did you go about finance? Did you use our finance team when you did it? And then when you were buying property, did you set all your finances up the first go around so you could go back to back, or did you have to go back and release equity and do all that sort of thing?
Well, I think we had to release equity. I think we did use your finance team he was unbelievable. We've always used him, and we've had no dramas. He's been great. Like, if you can't really work out what's happening or it's a bit above your head, he was sending a 10, 12-minute video of how it all works and what to do, and so it made it really easy. We'd have dinner and watch his video and go, oh, that's it. Yeah, that's heaps easier than reading this email. But I think we had to. We pulled equity out. He did that, and then we went back and said, well, what can we borrow? Can we go again? I think that's how it worked, didn't it?
And those discussions at that time was, let's be open to more purchases down the track. So
So you started to set yourself up, like almost thinking ahead from a finance level of saying, okay, well, now we are going. So the first one was almost like, we'll give it a shot, but we're not thinking too far ahead.
Yeah.
Second one's thinking, we're going to go for this, but we're now thinking of third, fourth, maybe we'll keep pushing from here.
Exactly.
And how did you find, obviously you found finances, it was good, but in terms of challenges, you've now got quite a decent portfolio. What sort of challenges along the way that you've had to deal with finance in terms of financing? Have you had challenges with releasing equity? Have you had to move banks multiple times and that sort of thing as well?
No, it hasn't been too much of a
We
drama.
started off with one bank, and then from the second time we went to Westpac, and that's where all the equity was released, and we've stuck with them since. And that's every single time there's different options, but that's been working.
And I think it's kind of been a bit easier because we don't have any credit cards. We never had Zip Pay. We've never had Afterpay. We've never. The only debt we've got is on property.
Yeah.
We don't have like a.
So you've done it the right way, which is you have sacrificed, which is you could have bought. I know we've spoken about it. A nice boat.
Yeah.
You could have bought a nice boat. You could have spent your money a little bit more, but you've gone the opposite way. How has it been going the opposite way and putting all your money into assets challenging? Has it been challenging to do that when you see friends and family or other people around you doing the opposite to you, which is they're spending probably more and doing more fun things when you did more sacrificing and putting that money into alternative assets?
No, we still do have a bit of fun, but we're saying, should we get you a new car? And Kate said, no, I'll catch the ferry to work, and I've got a 70-kilo Rottweiler that's going to wreck it, so I'm happy with a second-hand one. So that worked in my favour or our favour.
Yeah.
And I think it's sitting through the finance meetings early on for the very first session and them explaining the credit cards. I still had a bit of HEX debt, so we didn't have credit cards. That was a good tick. Sorted out the HEX debt, and basically them just explaining how a little bit of debt here is this much borrowing capacity. Yeah. That education for us, every time we were like, we should do this big thing, we're like, nah. Yeah. That's going to stop us from the next purchase.
That is probably the single-handedly best advice you can have from a finance point of view, because people don't realize just a little credit card is not just a little credit card. Even if you don't spend the money, the banks will treat it as the total limit, and then they times it by like 6 or 7, and then that's your borrowing capacity that just gets knocked down. Car loans are massive. You might, people think, I'll go get a little $50,000 car loan, get a brand new car, but they don't realize is the repayments are a house, that because you're trying to pay it back so quickly over 5 years, 3 years, 7 years. So all of those things can go from, I could buy 3 properties, and if you just had a car loan for, 1 each, and then you had a credit card, you went from 3 or 4 properties to, I can only buy 1 at best, right? So it's good that you recognize that. So you did the right thing, which was keep everything to a minimum and only get into debt for good things, which are going to make you money. So very few people understand that. They think it's not going to hurt them. Whereas, it ultimately does. And you can have the fun. Like, do you feel like now that you've built your portfolio to where you are, do you feel like you feel safer in where you are at the stage of life that you are now, that you start to go, you know what, I now feel like I can let myself do more things now than I probably could have 5 years ago?
Definitely. I feel like that comfort's fair.
Yeah, I still like going on a motorbike trip, or we like going on a holiday, so we don't kind of sacrifice that, but we haven't been on any big, massive overseas holidays or anything. That will probably come later. The little one's a bit older.
See more equity and then you go. Yeah, it's a little bit harder when you have a newborn. But It's something that I feel like, for me, I felt a lot of clients have sort of said to me the same thing, like they feel just more naturally secured financially, right? So then they're just like thinking, well, I've got all this in the background that's growing, so if I was to spend some more of my disposable income on something, it's okay because the background is going up so much quicker than what I'm even spending.
Yeah.
And that's probably the comfort in it. Like if you went, I'm going to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on something that you think maybe 5 or 6 years ago I wouldn't have done that, now you think, well, all my properties probably went up at least $2 or $3 grand. This maybe minimum at that point, just this week.
Yeah.
It's replenished it, over time.
You got to think different.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, I think so too. In terms of, you went from 1 property to 3 properties. Now, the old RBA kept raising interest rates at this point. So they went from 2.85 to 3.85 by the time that you got to your third. Now, that's 1% higher again. Obviously, as you're accumulating more and more debt, you would see that the bills are going to go up from that. How were you dealing with the interest rate rises? Did you feel like especially when they got to the peak, obviously they started coming back down a bit, but when they got to the peak of interest rate rises and you've had now multiple properties, multiple lots of debt, did you feel that? And how did you feel about that?
Well, I think we had a pretty good buffer. So in my head, I thought it does go up a bit. We've got money there to compensate for that while they are, and hopefully they don't stay up or keep rising forever. So kind of, just thought should be safe for a while here anyway.
Yeah,
so.
That's a good way to think of it. I think about it the same way. Emergency funds is one of the biggest things, right? Like having an emergency fund is like the safety blanket of time to be able to hold your properties in tough times. And if you're going to be an investor and identify yourself as like I'm going to have it's almost my business on the side. That's what we do. You can't do that for 20 years and not expect bad times. Like there's got to be some sort of, maybe it's a mini downturn, maybe it's an interest rate rise, maybe it's a job loss, babies can hurt that for a little bit. All these things come into life essentially over 20 years. So you sort of expect that, which is always why I say, like, you hold your emergency funds, you feel safe about the time frame that emergency fund can get you, so that you don't feel like you're going to jump out. Along the journey, have you ever felt like we've gone too far? We've bought too many? We should quit here?
Nah.
No.
What's our mind?
And I guess to add to the security blanket, like we took the advice to have a buffer, but we also went out and made sure our own personal insurances and all that was kind of ticking away in the background. Our shares were kind of set up, so we thought we might have a few extra insurances there as well.
Yeah.
That's good. And in terms of throughout the journey investing, were you using cash savings that you had, or were you using equity pretty much and bouncing it from one to another?
Probably bouncing the equity from one to another and using kind of the cash as the buffer.
Yep.
Well, I think that's what we pretty much do. Yeah.
And how's it affected you trying to pay off your mortgage over time and everything like that? Like, a lot of people, this is where a lot of people really struggle, right? They have their own house, they have their own mortgage, and they don't want to buy multiple investment properties because it takes away from them trying to pay off their own mortgage. Did you ever go through that battle where you're like, well, I just want to pay my mortgage off and I just want to get to that point where I'm like, I own my own home and I'm out of debt, for us to then say, let's just get back into it, and we're going to get back into it in a bigger way than you've ever been in? How did you have to overcome those hurdles of the just pay it off and feel safe?
That was probably our first hurdle.
Yep.
That was, I guess, our viewpoint, which was probably came from, generational families and everything. So we had to overcome that to actually get started.
Yeah. I thought we'll pay the house off and then you're debt free, like most people think. And then when you see some of the growth on your investment properties, you're like, I could probably sell one of these now and pay our house off. Like,
that's it. So you've now can see that the debt has accelerated the way to be able to pay your house off whenever you want to do that.
Yeah, we could.
And you would almost go, I would never be able to do that myself that quick, but this has allowed me to do it, which is what I try to teach people, it's a really backwards way of thinking, but I'm going to get into more debt to pay off debt quicker, which is a hard way to think, because most people think if I get into more debt, it's going to take longer to pay it back, which is a good thing that you guys have recognized. And I think that's the biggest hurdle for everyone is I want to limit debt. And I think we've been taught that generationally, limit debt, you pay it off. You don't think about investing until you've paid your own home off. But the problem is you lose so many years, like if you didn't invest over the last 5 years, how much money you would have lost, and then how much more you would have paid for the same properties today. You'd be thinking, well, it's just getting harder and harder to do it. Do you feel like, in terms of like the way that your investing journey now has gone down, is there any regrets that you've had around investing?
Well, probably the one that everyone says, should have done it earlier.
Yeah.
But no, I've got no regrets.
I think probably just the fact that I didn't hold the house in Orange and experience that growth.
Yeah, keep it and use it to leverage and keep sort of pushing.
And now we say just don't sell anything.
Yeah.
Sold that one, and like that we shouldn't have.
It's funny you say that, because it's like my rule too, like don't really sell anything unless you really had to. And then I sold one of my developments in near where your Thornlands one is. And then 2 years later, I saw it resell for 215 grand higher. And I'm like, that's my own rule, and I broke it. So it's definitely something where I see it a lot through investors, where they sell out because many want to sell out to realize that they've paid their house off, just to feel like, I've done it. But then they go back 2 or 3 years later, and then the houses that they had went up another 100, 200 grand each. And they're like, I could have paid another one off by now. I could have had 2 of them or 3 of them paid off by now. I see that a lot. Have you had that urge throughout the journey to say, things are doing well, I think I could just clip one and then get it back into my mortgage?
No, I've never had that urge. I just
That's
know
good.
that I could,
But
I don't have to, and I don't want to. Well, I don't know how you feel, but
I think we learnt that lesson. Like, again, it was education. It was changing the way we thought about it. But once we got our head there, we didn't kind of falter on that, which was good.
It's good. That's good. Well, we'll go through the results of this next one, the next couple. In terms of, you did buy in Wanneroo, which you bought up in the north side of WA. Now, we bought that in the 5th month of 2023. We purchased it for $485,000. We've just bank valued that at $730,000. Now, that property is up $245,000, 50%. We've had that growth in just over 2 years. Average growth per annum at the moment on that property is 22% per annum, or $8,900 per month, right? Describe the property that you bought up in the north of WA. Is it something that you thought when I showed you, this is going to do well?
no, not really. But no,
They generally don't look like they're going to do well.
no, it was just a brick house tiles, and just old. Yeah, inside was not like flash or anything. Like, probably kind of neat, but I didn't think it'd have the growth it did. And had a tenant in there for a long time, and it's probably had no dramas at all. And that one's been easy as.
Yeah.
It's been great.
That's good. And it's funny because, as you're saying, it's an older property. A lot of people associate that with lots of work. Going to have to always do stuff, got to renovate it. So you didn't have to do any large renovations or anything. You just tucked the tenant in and
Nothing.
you go.
It already had the tenant.
Well, there you go.
It's like been a breeze.
So pretty much you just took it over from someone else, made $250,000.
That's exactly what happened.
That's that guy that sold it to you would be spewing.
I reckon you probably would.
Yeah. There's a few instances where I think when I go in and I'm buying all these properties for clients, I think the people selling are going to regret this.
Yeah, that one's been great. I love that one.
Yeah, nice. And in terms, we actually went back into WA for the third one as well. So we sort of went Brisbane, WA. Did you think, hey, I'm getting too many in WA, maybe one? Did you want to explore other markets? Were you happy to sort of go back to back?
I was kind of happy to go back to back. I thought 2 in WA would be all right. And we didn't know how much growth the first one had, but it had no dramas. And like I said, I loved WA. So,
Yep.
I feel like it was just an easy yes. Yeah.
Yeah, easy one. And that one was in Warnbro.
Yeah.
That was in the south side. So we did one north, one south. Were there any reservations with going down? That was down the Rockingham sort of way. Was there any reservations with like, okay, this isn't as close to the CBD or anything like that?
No, I just, like I said, trusted YPYW with the last two, so just go again.
Nice. Nice. And that one there, we purchased a 644. Now that banked out at 759, 115 grand worth of equity, and that has been just over 15 months. Now average 7,700 each month, and it's averaging about 17.8% just over a year. So each year, roughly 17%. From there, we ended up going into another property, and we decided, let's do this again.
Right when we're having a baby.
Yes. So you were having a baby. Talk about the timelines of this.
Well, I think I said to Kate, or did you say to me? I can't really remember, but let's just get it sorted before we have a dependent, because I don't know if that's going to affect us.
Yeah. Well, we were thinking about borrowing capacity. That's what we're thinking about.
I knew it changed.
Feel like it's a rush. We need to get this one done. So there was no hesitation with, I'm going to have too much on my plate. You were thinking, hey, I could probably get my timelines great if I could get one before I have all this happen, so therefore I can get one more into the market.
Yeah. Because we were thinking we don't know what will come with the baby and how busy we'll be, and
How long you'll have off. Or...
Yeah, we just didn't want to deal with it after. We thought maybe we just take advantage of before, hoping that we'd have more time.
Yeah. And do you feel like it all panned out the way you wanted it to?
It did. It was interesting. It was like my last week of work. I think the house settled. I finished work, and then we had a baby. It was like in a week. All happened.
I remember the message you sent me. Probably have a baby next week. The house settles next week too. No big deal.
All happening in one go.
But looking back on it, Brisbane, the very first purchase, was 10 times more stressful for us than what it was at that point in time, because we were familiar with the process, we're comfortable.
Yeah. So you started to become an investor of confidence, whereas the first one was so much more mental challenging in terms of like, I've got to overcome so many barriers to will this work. Whereas like now you're like, this is a formula that I just have to repeat. And it's almost like, if I don't get that extra one in, you were probably thinking at that point, I can see how much money I will lose over the next couple of years.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. That's a good way of thinking, and it's definitely served you well throughout your journey.
And you probably had a soft spot for where we bought the fourth one, like I had for WA.
Yeah, I'd lived in Melbourne before, so from an area point of view, it was the first time that I immediately said yes.
Yeah, you knew where we were buying. You're like, we're back.
Just like knew the area a little bit better, so I just had that level of confidence straight off the bat.
Yeah. So that's now your fourth purchase at that point. That was 2025. And you've now got a little baby girl, Beau, which she is now 5 months old. How's it all gone since then? Obviously having a baby, life changes quite quickly. And you've now got all these properties. How's it been over the last 5 months?
It's been an adjustment having a baby, but I've been loving it.
That's good. That's good.
The property side of things is actually the easy thing, because everything's set up and managed by the property managers. So we're fortunate that there's no extra workload on us.
Yeah.
You know, a response, like Tommy said, a response to an email occasionally.
Yeah, it's just so easy. An email, like I think I've got a couple of phone calls in a couple of years. That's about it, and the rest is just emails. And
yeah, it makes it so much easier when you don't. You're like, if I don't have to hear from you, that's fine.
Kate kind of says, "You do all the emails. I'll be at work busy." So I've gotten good at that. I'm not very good at emails, but now I'm pretty good.
That's it. Monitoring.
No point in asking me about renovations.
At that point, like now you're at the heightened point of your debt ceiling of where you're at. Do you feel good about that? Is it something that you're like, I will push further if I could in the coming years? Or is it something where you feel like I've hit the limit, like I don't want to go any further? Or is that what's sort of your goals going forward?
Oh, well, Kate said on the way up in the car, we'll probably go get another one, hey? And because Jared said we could probably last time, so we'll probably go for it again.
You're like, it's time to go. So you will have...
You need a bit of diesel at this
fifth one, plus then you've got your own home, plus you got another one.
Yeah.
So you'll be, doing very well at that point, which is good to see. In terms of the last one that we purchased, so we purchased that Southeast Melbourne. The market was very, very hot when we purchased that one. I mean, they've always been hot, but it was a hard one to purchase. We paid $787,000. Now that just got bank valued at $859,000, but it has only been 5 months.
Yeah.
That one's up $72,000, or averaged about $14,400 per month. It's already done 9%, just over 9% in under 6 months worth of growth. So it looks like that will be touching double-digit growth as well. That one was a 4-bed, 2-bath, double garage. That one's 740 block. And I've seen some stuff now selling already in the 9s that are 3x2s, which is crazy to sort of see. Now, your total portfolio, I would go through quickly in terms of your total portfolio with just YPYW is $689,000 worth of growth you've had. So that's the growth you've had on the portfolio. The total is now 3.33 million. Mm-hmm. It's been 2 years and 8 months, so it hasn't even been 3 years since those bank values. You've averaged about $246,000 per year on each of those properties, which should start to maintain or even go higher because now you've got them all where you didn't have them at the start, which is about 20 grand a month or just over 5 grand per week in growth. That's excluding your own home. That's excluding the other investment. That's excluding, all your cars and all your stuff that you have as well, right? So your net worth now would be in the millions.
Yeah.
It's starting to get up there. What do you know roughly what your total net worth looks like these days?
Yeah, I think I'd added up about 3.3.
Wow.
Like after loans.
That's massive. That's a massive.
I did it on the dog walk this morning.
Yeah.
I thought you might have asked it.
That's 3 point. Yeah. So over $3 million in net worth, which is crazy to see. And how old are you guys?
I'm 40.
I'm 38, but it sounds bad because I'm 39 next month.
Yeah. At that age, to be able to achieve that is insane, really. There's not many people that will even achieve that at 65 or retirement age. Yeah. Do you feel like now, because you've achieved that sort of level, and you're going to keep pushing, it sounds like, do you feel, though, that you're going to have that comfortable retirement that you've already kind of sorted yourself out and go, you know what, I won't be slugging it in my late 50s?
That's what I really want to do. I just love having time off, and now spending it with my daughter and Kate and the dog, and I love going on motorbike trips, and I just want to be able to do it, like do family things and not be tied down to a job one day.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And in terms of the experiences, now you've had multiple experiences with YPYW. What would you say to somebody that wants to jump into investing with YPYW, or just a buyer's agent and having a team around them?
Well, I think you go to a mechanic to fix your car, or like a carpenter to build your house. So why not pay a professional that knows what to do? And we're so busy with life, we don't have time to kind of look for places, look for areas. So it was just the best thing to do, I think. Yeah, awesome. That's good. That's good to hear. And in terms of, I guess, your mindset, has it shifted from the start to now? If you were to jump from the very start to say, have you grown as a person, and in what way have you grown?
I think our knowledge, our appetite for risk, but getting the information too. So we're not afraid to go out and invest now. If anything, we're a little bit more hungry and excited about it.
Yep.
So a little bit more driven in that sense.
Awesome. That's good. Well, Tom and Kate, it's been awesome to have you on the very first podcast out here on our boat. And thank you for coming all this way to jump on and share your journey with, all of the people that are going to listen to this podcast. I think they'll get immense sort of knowledge out of it, but also inspire many as well. I wanted to give you one last opportunity to give some parting words of property wisdom. So if somebody was considering investing, what would you say to them?
Well, I'd say just give it a go, because your day job's not going to retire you.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, when you open that app and you see the minus and what you owe, it's only numbers on a screen, I think.
Yeah.
So don't wait, just give it a go.
Yeah. And I think just, if you're looking for advice, go to the experts, make sure you've got the team around you. And I think just look at where you want to be. Like, take advice from the people that are living the life you want to live. So just follow that.
There's some words of wisdom right there. So thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for being on Anchored in Property, the podcast. And I look forward to seeing your journey over the next 5 to 10 years to see where it takes you. And maybe we'll have you back on once again.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
thank you for joining us.
Thanks for the invite, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Please, thank you.
Well, there you have it, guys. Another great podcast on the water, inspiring everyday Aussies to build wealth through property the right way so that you can make money while you sleep. If you're already on your property investing journey or you are considering it, then YPYW specializes in building high performance property portfolios backed by in-house research. We've helped clients create portfolios worth over $10 million, helping you exit the rat race. So just visit ypyw.com.au. Also, don't forget to grab a copy of our 6 Principles to Retire Younger and Richer. You can grab it on Amazon or our website. If you've got any feedback for the show, then you can reach out to us on Instagram, which is Your Property, Your Wealth, or my personal Instagram, DanielWalsh_YPYW. Well, that wraps it up for today's show. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking with you next time on the Anchored in Property podcast. Bye for now.